Story 1. Someone told me that they could not release the list because there are so many important people on it that governments would collapse and society would cease to function. Not that I believe this, but even if that is the case, fine, so be it. Any society or government that relies on protecting sex predators does not deserve to exist. Let it burn. Story 2. Anyone who objects to releasing information is either on the list or financially benefiting from someone on the list. Story 3. Conservative here, not to be confused with Donald Trump supporter. I hate it. Put all those criminals in jail if they broke the law. Lock them up and let them rot. Story 4. I don't know how you can be all righteous and religious, telling other people not to get abortions while covering up rapists and pedophiles. Right is right. Someone should be accountable for the little girls who were raped. Story 5. I live in Alabama. I am no longer conservative. I began to change views in my late 20s and early 30s. The state deer hunting forum that I was banned from simply for not being conservative is full of Generation X and baby boomers who are turning on Donald Trump and finding this unacceptable. The site's owner who banned me, and who I contacted with a new account, is constantly posting anti-Trump content related to the Epstein case. Story 6. Independent, here's my take. With them insisting so strongly that there is no list and there never was a list, I cannot understand why every one of them would not vote yes and say, okay, have fun releasing nothing. This proves that there is a list and they are all being told to prevent it from coming out. Story 7. Trump voter, release the files, damn it. I do not care who is on them. Let them face the music. I believe that there are definitely some big names on the list, Republicans and Democrats, or even prominent business and corporation figures. They are so afraid to lose the hold they have on power. Story 8. I guess I am a conservative. Gun owner, hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman, Orthodox Christian. I do not think I will ever vote for the Republican Party again. Story 9. I am conservative but not Make America Great Again. I am disgusted and completely appalled. Make America Great Again has never fully cared about law and order when it comes to holding themselves accountable. Story 10. List or not, an adjudicated rapist is definitely on the list. He and Jeffrey Epstein are co-defendants in a child rape case that was swept under the rug with death threats to the plaintiff, eyewitness, and their legal counsel. Anyone voting to protect that list, their careers, their donors, and so on must also be aware of these criminal ties to Donald Trump, just as I am. The laws do not let despicable criminals hide behind lesser criminals. There is not going to be a brick wall just because this group chickened out. They will pay later. This is not going away. This is the best chance to take down Trumpism and everyone embedded in it. It is cracking. Story 11. There are two choices. 1. Bondi lied that there were more files and is trying to blame everyone else because there are not. Bondi lied that there is no more information, that everything is released except for child pornography. This is a huge cover-up, and everyone involved deserves full punishment. Either way, Bondi lied and needs to be removed or come clean. The government should be more transparent. Story 12. The fact that the Democratic Party voted to release the files, even though some members may be on the list, while the Republican Party voted to keep the files secret because they know some high-profile Republicans are on the list, including their leader, tells you all you need to know about the two parties. They are not the same. Story 13. The Republican Party this year has made clear they want nothing to do with conservatism. They are authoritarian fascists who abuse children, support and vote for abusers, or protect abusers. Story 14. As a conservative and not die-hard Donald Trump supporter, I say forget it and release it. We succeed. No one is above the law, not even the royal family. Story 15. Release the list. We have the list. There is no list. My opponents made up the list. I cannot wait to see what is next. Story 16. Everyone is turning against Donald Trump. Even my hardcore baby boomer mother. No reasonable person wants a child rapist in office. Story 17. Donald Trump has been accused of serious crimes, including sexual assault and involvement in a trafficking ring. Verified court documents and related materials provide information on these allegations. Trump's name appears on page 85 of a document referenced as part of a trafficking ring list. Additional information and testimonies are available, including court documents and witness statements. Some people consider these claims to be unproven. Testimonies related to the allegations can be found online for review. Story 18. Donald Trump, who features heavily in the Epstein files, was always a strange choice to champion the release of the Epstein pedophile files. However, United States conservatives, Make America Great Again supporters, Republicans, or however they identify, have never been the most astute political operators. Story 19. I think they should all be brought to light. No matter who is involved, they need to be held accountable. Story 20. As a Canadian, I am blown away that this is even a conversation. The sloppiness of this blatant cover-up is as plain as day, yet people are wondering what it could all mean. You would need to be mentally challenged not to see clearly that this is corruption at the most primitive level of insanity. The United States is truly lost if there is any question in their minds at this point about the validity of the list and the obvious danger it poses to members of high society. Adding to that, the sudden disappearance of video footage of Epstein's cell, conveniently around the time of his suicide, is absolutely astounding. What more evidence do the American people need to see that they are being blatantly manipulated and lied to? Story 21. They are hiding something, of course. Let us put it this way. If someone accused me of sexual misconduct, especially involving minors, and I had a document that proved I was innocent, I would be sharing that information with everyone like United States 2 did with their album a while back. Story 22. Unfortunately, I am not surprised in the least. I cannot remember who it was, but some actress got caught in a Hollywood pedophile ring scandal years ago, and it was just swept under the rug. Then, when Maxwell had her trial, the media was not allowed into the courtroom to cover it. The only thing we saw that whole week was coverage about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I knew right then that there was a coordinated effort to run damage control for some influential people and had basically no faith that we would see real justice. Another part of me feels like everything going on is political theater and that something much bigger is happening behind the scenes, but that might just be my speculation. Story 23. If there were even more than just a few members of the Democratic Party on there, they would have released it immediately. I'm sure there are a few on there, but I also bet that it is mostly the grand old party, especially Donald Trump. Supporters of Trump try to act tough, saying, "Don't touch my daughter," and then vote for a man who would not hesitate even after she says no. The Republican Party has damaged this country without consent. Story 24. They would rather protect a convicted felon for sexual assault, most likely a pedophile, than side with the liberal activists. It is utterly pathetic. This goes beyond politics, but I now believe there is nothing Donald Trump can do that will upset his base. They have their identities so tied to him. It truly is a cult. America is ruined. Story 25. I'm a conservative liberal and I'm down here in lower Alabama laughing as all the supporters I work with self-destruct because their leader is actually incompetent and they can't justify it. Story 26. Anyone with half a brain has known Donald Trump was implicated in this matter for at least the last 5 years. I just have to laugh at the fact they have chosen to ignore all the other awful things that person has done over the last decade, and now they want to pretend they are principled enough to disagree with him on something. Let's be clear. They are definitely pretending. They are not turning on Donald Trump. They are using this moment as proof that they are not actually in a cult by pretending to be upset with him when in reality they are not upset at all. They are almost unanimously calling for Bondi's removal instead of his, and they will, without a shadow of a doubt, move right on past this in no time. Story 27. This is the only conspiracy that is the truth. Everything else has been made up lies to distract and deflect. All of their projection is part of the game. Melania Novs, now Melania Trump, came to the United States from Slovenia with Trump model management in 1996. Suspicious, right? Epstein apparently loved this business concept and brought model Nadia Marcinkova to the United States from Slovakia when she was only 15. She is known for being a co-conspirator of Epstein, as well as Ghislaine Maxwell. She helped run his rape hostage operation in Palm Beach and was the main pilot of his Lolita Express. According to the Miami Herald, Marcinkova visited Epstein more than 70 times when he was in Palm Beach custody after his first criminal conviction. Epstein told one of his victims that Marcinkova was his sex slave, and that Epstein had purchased her when she was 15. Here is the kicker. Marcinkova has reportedly been missing since early January 2024. Her disappearance is linked to the release of the final batch of Epstein documents that same month. Story 28. Justice must be served. If something is broken by the truth being revealed, it deserves to be broken. Story 29. I will share my thoughts, which remain the same regardless of circumstances. The issue is being covered up by the current administration, and it was also covered up by the previous administration. Individuals involved are at very high levels of government, and as long as they remain in power, it does not matter who the president is. This list will not see the light of day. I honestly wish the list would be released and that everyone named could be brought to justice. In my opinion, it has become a lazy political tool to say, my opponent is on the list. Once the list is public, people tend to believe it is true, and accusations lead to a presumption of guilt in the public eye until proven innocent. Therefore, I prefer that the matter be handled as transparently as possible, regardless of who the president is, especially if he is on the list. Story 30. Over on the online forum, there is a lot of whataboutism about Joe Biden and not much else. That is the best look you will get at how actual far-right individuals are reacting. Story 31. Now that it is no longer an open investigation, can reporters ask direct questions? For example, have you seen the hours of footage that will not be released due to victim privacy concerns? If so, were there other people committing crimes on these tapes besides Epstein and Maxwell? This is what people want to know. Of course, we do not want victim information to be released. No one is asking for that. We want to know if there were other perpetrators. Story 32. The funny thing is that the grand old party claimed they would do something like this to persuade Democrats into forcing the release of the list, but when that literally happened, the grand old party blocked it. You cannot make this stuff up. Story 33. As a conservative, I am upset with them all. The stories do not add up, and many of them do not make sense. Why would the Democratic Party invent the files as a weapon against Donald Trump and then not release them? It does not make sense. Yes, there are almost certainly members of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, billionaires, and celebrities all implicated, but I frankly do not care. If Donald Trump does not figure this out and start naming clients, it will cost him the midterm elections. Story 34. Obligatory. I am not a conservative. I went to their subreddit and it is, well, this is just a political play by the Democratic Party, so we should not play their games. These people would literally rather eat dog feces than reach across the aisle for the common good. Story 35. I am a registered independent and have voted on both sides of the aisle, depending on my stance on the important issues. I am really hoping there is a WikiLeaks moment with the files. It is absolutely disgusting that everyone involved, besides Ghislaine, is facing zero consequences currently. I do not care how high up in politics or society you are. Lock them all up. They do not deserve to have a place in any society. Story 36. Those documents are paid for by the people with tax dollars. They fully belong to the people. This redacting has gone on for too long. The United States holds too many secrets from their populace. It is disappointing. Story 37. I think it is a joke that the House Republican Party is blocking the release of Epstein files. What are they hiding and who are they trying to protect? If there is nothing to be ashamed of, then why not let it all come out? This just fuels the conspiracy theories and makes them look guilty. Story 38. I do not understand why anyone thought Donald Trump would release the files. In every interview discussing the release of various files, he was asked about John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. and was very enthusiastic about releasing those. Every time an interviewer asked about the Epstein files, Donald Trump appeared incredibly uncomfortable and gave a very ambiguous answer. Story 39. It is concerning that the House Republican Party is blocking the release of Epstein files, potentially shielding powerful individuals from accountability. Transparency is crucial in cases involving serious allegations such as those surrounding Epstein. Story 40. Corruption is not a glitch. It is the operating system. You are seeing it. A conspiracy of silence, with everyone from prosecutors to presidents choosing career security over public accountability. When every branch, the executive, legislative, and judicial, is co-opted by wealth, privilege, and political leverage, we are no longer talking about a few bad actors. We are talking about a corrupt architecture. You are also probably right that some officials may be compromised themselves, whether through blackmail, participation, or sheer cowardice. Story 41. Any conservative member of the Republican Party who is not questioning the morality of their chosen president and party is either willfully ignorant or morally reprehensible. Both are common attitudes among conservative Republicans. Story 42. It just means a bunch of them are in the files. It does not matter if they are guilty of the sick behavior or not. In this case, the implication is enough to ruin them. This is what we talk about when we say that even an allegation of sexual assault is enough to ruin a person. This situation is almost worse than that. How people can excuse Donald Trump when he is literally on record talking about how Jeffrey Epstein is a fine person who likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, but condemn one member of a drunken duet when they say the other raped them is beyond me. That is some Jim Jones-level cult behavior right there. Story 43. I have a couple of friends who are far right. Even they think this is nonsense. They posted all the Epstein didn't kill himself memes back then. They were excited that Donald Trump would shake up Washington, D.C. Now, with this, they are angry. I saw one claim today something along the lines of, I voted for him because I support most of his political goals, not because he was perfect, but simply because he was the best our party could offer. Okay. One of these friends posted on Facebook yesterday that they were upset this could hand the Democrats the House and Senate in the next election. Like the Democrats could continue to call for the files to be released, pull some moderate voters, get a higher turnout, and then Donald Trump would be a president without control for his last 2 years. Story 44. I do not think these questions are productive on this subreddit. You are better off going to the conservative subreddit and reading comments on some of their threads. Story 45. I do not know. You should post about the recent rules vote in the subcommittee that would have required the Department of Justice to release the files within 60 days, or the recent amendment that was voted down in Congress that would have done the same. Visit the conservative subreddit and look for those stories because neither of them are posted. I wonder why. Edit. Correction. 46 minutes ago. Laughing out loud. Story 46. Release blocked. Also known as, I am not going to publish a list that includes many or most of my major donors, because then I will not receive a donation for my next election run. Story 47. Even the conservative community is up in flames over this and is turning against many involved. That says a lot. Story 48. This is fairly conspiratorial, but what if the damaging information that Vladimir Putin has on all of them is tied to this? It would explain a lot. Story 49. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very angry about it. Very angry doesn't even come close. I won't be voting for the Democratic Party anytime soon, but I can tell you that anyone who blocked that, who is on my ballot, won't get my vote again. I would rather leave my vote blank. I get the same result. Story 50. Since it is so hard to release the Epstein list with all the politicians, actors, singers, and other celebrities, just put out a list of who is not on it. That would probably be simpler. Story 51. Everyone who voted to block the release of the Epstein files and everyone who supports blocking the release of the Epstein files is complicit in child rape. Voters need to act accordingly. Story 52. It is confirmed and supports my suspicions that all of them are involved. Red, blue, green, and yellow. Story 53. They are still waiting to be told what to think about that. That is how it works in cults. Sean Hannity will tell them tonight. Story 54. They are not sheep, but they do not have any original thoughts about this. They are still waiting until the podcasters figure out which questions they want them to repeat with angry confidence in error. Story 55. Conservatives now. Who is Epstein? Never heard of him. He is a pedophile? Oh, that is not an issue anymore since yesterday. Can we talk about what Barack Obama did 10 years ago? Story 56. I am fairly conservative on most issues and voted for Donald Trump. I am upset and believe everyone, regardless of politics, should feel the same way. If anything, it just proves they are involved or being paid off by those who are. Story 57. I saw the video about Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. Donald Trump and a famous British family member were also present. They are concerned that many well-known Republican figures being linked to Epstein could damage their reputations. Story 58. I do not think they are allowed to answer until their master commands them to speak. They are very well trained. Right now, he is showing everybody how good they are at rolling over on command. Story 59. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that request. Story 60. It is unacceptable. They should release it and have every member of Congress come forward. The police should read off all the names, and every time a person in Congress is on the list, they should be arrested. This should be done live on television. Story 61. Trump tomorrow. I was going to release the files in 2 weeks, but the United States Congress prevents me from doing it. Story 62. For years, the Republican Party accused the Democratic Party of serious misconduct, and now they will not release the list. This speaks volumes. Story 63. Anyone who thought that list would see the light of day is incredibly naive. My only question is why Prince Andrew is the only one to receive any type of penalty for what he has done. I wonder what he did to irritate someone. Story 64. At this point, they may as well just release the files because it honestly would not matter. They will just end up being another Panama Papers. Remember those? I bet you do not. They were quickly forgotten. No hearings were held, nobody was arrested, nobody was charged, nobody went to jail, nobody cared. For former President Donald Trump's hardcore supporters who see him as infallible, you could show them his name in those papers 10,000 times, show them all the evidence of the disgusting things he did there, and their reaction would be to shrug their shoulders and say, whatever. Worse, they would decide that pedophilia is acceptable after all. Just like the Panama Papers, nobody will be arrested, nobody will be charged, nobody will go to prison. None of it will matter. The truth does not matter and never did. So put them out there. If nothing else, just to stir up some more chaos. Why not? Story 65. I lean conservative. I did not vote for Donald Trump in this election. I believe in being a more fiscally conservative nation, and Donald Trump has not demonstrated that. To the point, they have handled this very poorly. I do not care if the list includes every sitting Republican government official and no one else. Whoever is on the list needs to be held accountable. Story 66. Donald Trump is involved as well. I am still very confused by the fact that Donald Trump said he would release it, acting like he is free and clear. The reality is he is not. It backfired on him. I was kind of waiting for this to happen. Story 67. Not a conservative. I am a leftist, and from what I have seen, both sides want the release of the Epstein files. Specifically talking about the voter base, not those in power, because those in power have a lot to lose if those files were publicly released. However, both sides still cannot avoid the divisive electoral politics. You hear comments like, why didn't Donald Trump release the files during his first term? Or why did Joe Biden withhold the files during his term? Or obviously both sides have problematic individuals, but my side has fewer of them. It is like they are almost united, but they cannot help taking digs at each other while extending their hand. This is why I detest the two-party system. Even when they agree, they cannot help but still cheer for their own team. Story 68. Half of them are involved. Conversely, they realize Donald Trump is involved and want to protect their leader. These are the only two valid answers. They would be eager to deliver it to the public if even one of the listed individuals were a Democrat. It is odd how they are trying to block it now. Story 69. The most recent excuse from MAGA commentators is that nothing can be released because they would be distributing illegal content along with victims' information. This is the most absurd explanation I have ever heard. We want the clients, not the actual pictures and videos. Story 70. I think it is nonsense. Release it and let the consequences unfold as they may. If Donald Trump is involved, prosecute him. prosecute them all, and ensure they cannot return. We will be okay. Story 71. The Trump campaign consisted of many false promises and lies, and releasing the Epstein files was one of them. He kept saying he would release them very soon. Bondi at one point said they were sitting on her desk as we speak, and now they do not exist. They are counting on their base's ignorance to accept the usual gaslighting, such as saying one thing on video and then completely denying it 5 minutes later, claiming they never said that. Story 72. The only acceptable excuse for not immediately releasing names is that the Department of Justice is working with federal, state, and local law enforcement to apprehend suspects involved in the Jeffrey Epstein sexual abuse ring. Names of those individuals suspected of committing a crime will be released once they have been taken into custody pending trial. Apprehensions are ongoing and are expected to take X days. Story 73. Protecting child predators is not acceptable. The Republican Party is a political organization. Story 74. These members of the House of Representatives are all on the Epstein list. This is a confirmed fact and undisputed. They have participated in Epstein's events. Virginia Fox, North Carolina, 5th District. Michelle Fischbach, Minnesota, 7th District. Aaron Huchin, Indiana, 9th District. Nick Langworthy, New York, 23rd District. Austin Scott, Georgia, 8th District. Morgan Griffith, Virginia, 9th District. Brian Jack, Georgia, 3rd District. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.